And so now we're going to stitch around the rabbit. We've anchored it. And now these spots, you can kind of see in the sun. I can, maybe you can't. So like right here, there's going to be blue. Up here, there's going to be blue. There's going to be some blue here. Maybe some down here. And then some back here. So I want to show you how I do that. So this is kind of just a pillow that I kind of use. The first thing you need to do is we don't need this amount of fabric that we have. So I'm going to cut big around. I should have done this in my studio when I had better scissors. But I'm definitely cutting, leaving plenty, because you will want to trim it again. And this is Aida. I only stitch on Aida, but even especially on linen, that will unravel relatively quickly. So when we start to stitch, we're going to trim it even again. So definitely allow enough for that. So then I should put this on a card. When I pause, this will probably be on a card. But right now it's not. So I'm just going to pull out some of my blue that I'm using for the edge. Load it up. Wonder if I should turn on my light a little brighter. I think I was saying how you need your stitching to fold over. See how nicely it allows you to fold over? And then that is what you're going to stitch down on the edge, and then whip stitch with whatever color is on the edge. But in the spots like here, here, there, and here, you need something to fold over or to get your stitches. So that's why we needed this blue that relatively matches our background cover. So on the back, I don't know if you can tell, it's brown, and then the tail actually touches a couple here. So I think I'm going to start about here. So you need to, and this is a little cumbersome dealing with this felt on attached, but you kind of need to wait till you get that attached. So then I'm going to lay my felt down, and you can see white there. I'm going to come in right after that white. And then I'm basically going to just do a running back stitch. So from this side, a back stitch is basically, I have to think a second, I start there and then I'm going to come back and then go forward a stitch and then come back, and I'm literally just sticking it in where my holes are. So go forward a stitch, and I'm just going along the edge. I'm pinching this together with my finger so it stays in place. And I'm just following along, and when I drop down a row, it doesn't have to be pretty, I just drop down a row. But it's a very sloppy back stitch where I kind of, even if I'm like kind of going diagonal, I'm kind of going the length of like one of my squares. And I'm just running my needle by doing a back stitch forward and then back along the edge of that felt, where there is no stitching on the other side to wrap around, to fold over. So that's what it's going to be looking like from the front side. That's going to give us a really nice thing to fold over and stitch over. Can you hear the wind? See, now I'm getting a nice little bend that I will be able to fold over. And just make sure you're always kind of pulling up the wool to make sure that you're not catching any of the felt. Let's see if I'm right there and I stay here. I'm going to kind of be right here to stitch. Can you see me? Yeah, so it's just, you know, it's just a back stitch. And I mean, you know, go about the distance that that you go you know, in your spacing for your, like for a cross stitch. So you only need to do this down to the level that is going to be the grass, because then we need to switch to green, and we're going to bring all this green down all the way to the edge here. So I'm going to stop because that's as far there as we need to go with just the background. So I'm going to come over to this side and find a couple places that I can whip stitch close together about 3 times. And then I'm going to cut this off. All right, so that part's done because we're going to do green the rest there. This is all going to be green if we need to come down. And then over here, it's hard to tell whether this is going to be brown or there's going to be some green there. Right now we'll say it's good. There. So I think it's going to be, I need to do here, here, and here. So same thing, I'm going to get my needle. Where is it? Probably like right there is where it starts being blue. And again, this is a little on the cumbersome side. Just gonna have to fold stuff back. Get it anchored. Right. Make sure my ear is where I want it. And then I'm going to just, from this brown, like I'm literally sticking it in a brown, I'm going to back stitch. Doesn't have to be pretty. Kind of just going along where the edge of that felt is until I hit the ear, the brown. So see, you can see it from this side, it was just that much is gonna be blue. So then bring it back to this side. Make sure that I didn't get any of my felt because I don't want to stitch into my felt. Maybe more like right there. Anchor it a little bit where I can. All right, so I have that. I have that. Now I need to get in between the ears. So figure out, You know, fold back my ears, I think like right here. Let's see if I'm there, can you see? Right there. Anchor it. And then this is not going to be a lot. I just need to know kind of the span across the ears. I want a guide to where, you know, right. So that'll be, and again, it ain't pretty. That one really is not pretty. So I think maybe I want to come down and clean it up a little bit. All right, so that's my guide for that. So I want to lock this off. God, it's so blustery today. A couple times. Okay. And then here. So this, that row, I'm going to have an edge. So that's what I'm going to base this off of, is if that row is where it's supposed to be, how much blue are you going to see? So I'm going to make sure that that's where it's supposed to be. And then we're just going to go, I'm pinching it between my fingers. And I'm going to back stitch down. I'm literally just tracing the edge of the felt. And if you get a little felt in your thread stitch, that's okay. You'll be able to like get it out. So I'm pinching, following the edge, flip it over. So see, that's kind of the edge I'm creating. And it doesn't have to be pretty. I think half the time I do a back stitch from the back side, and then half the time I do a back stitch from the front side. I want to make sure that my nose, I want to make sure that that's at the right point. I'm not really worrying about this so much. So make sure that your nose is where you want it, and then kind of pinch that together. I think I'm almost ready to hit brown again. Yeah, I hit it. You can see the edge there. All right, so I have that. All right, so I think that is all the spots at this point. I know for sure are going to have some blue.